Hey, what's good, everybody? Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, again, welcome to my channel. So this is a video reaction to Derrick Jaxn. If you guys don't know what Derrick Jaxn is, that's him right here. So this is a video reaction. There's the guy that does body reading. So this guy's gonna make a video where he read him completely. Like it's a body language guy react to Derrick Jaxn's apology video. So we're just gonna jump right to it and just watch this.
Hello, welcome back, my body language buddies. Today, in episode 26, the big question is it possible to tell if your partner is a master manipulator just by their body language? And to solve this riddle, we will be looking at Derrick Jaxn's apology, a relationship guru with more than 1 million followers on Instagram, who preaches healing and healthy relationships, and who confessed to having multiple affairs after fans uncovered his indiscretions. Now, if this is your first time here, my channel is all about body language and persuasion. You can ask any questions or suggest any analysis in the comments. And if you're coming back, thank you for sharing this body language adventure with me. As always, the best way to support my channel is to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any of my body language analysis and tips. Before we start, remember that I've got a really nice compilation of 100 body language tips in a very convenient free PDF that you can download in the link right in the description. In this video, you will learn the right way to read a couple's body language, what's the meaning behind an emotionless face, and how to tell if a loved one is being emotionally manipulated. I suggest that you stay until the end because I'll be also sharing one bonus tip about how to identify emotional manipulation in social media posts. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the body language guy, and I want you to uncover the secrets that people try to hide from you.
Jesus Enrique Rojas.
Online gossip about Jackson's affairs began appearing in early March. This week, Candice Medeiros claimed to have had an affair with Jackson after he allegedly told her that he and his wife were separated. The Medeiros claimed that she and Jackson texted through the summer of 2020, spent his birthday together, and slept in the bed that he shares with his wife, Derrick Jaxn, who also appears in the video. Fans have been addressing the possibility that Jackson has been manipulating his wife, especially after watching this apology video.
But now that it's been made so public, it's important that I first off let you guys know I do not stand by those actions. I don't want to encourage anybody to do that.
Now, it's absolute fact that the first thing you're going to see are the faces. We're pre-programmed to look at faces and spot emotions and micro-expressions to communicate faster than words. One of the best tips that I can give you for any body language analysis is to pay attention to the very first or very last frames of a video. That way you can spot those moments where people think that they're not being seen, or if they are faking emotions. They haven't put their mask on yet. When it happens at the end of a video, they think that they can get the mask out already, and you can catch a glimpse of their true emotions.
What's going on, guys? Derrick Jaxn. What's going on, guys? Derrick Jaxn.
Oh shit.
In this case, you can see both his face right at the start of the video, in the first couple frames, and then his face throughout the rest of the apology. Notice that there is a strong difference in expression between them. The first one is emotionless, and the second one wants to convey sadness. But for Derrick, this is a moment where one might want to show their best self and to show that they are a strong marriage and they have survived the cheating and they're ready to push through it. But at first sight, her eyes look empty with a total lack of energy and just a tinge of anger. Some people have mentioned the bonnet that she's wearing, and that could mean that she just didn't bother to do her hair that morning. And that's just fine. But the problem is when you start to stack signals one after another. Because wearing a bonnet or any kind of hat in this situation is a way to feel protected, that you feel vulnerable and defensive. The black sweater that she's wearing is something that she has worn in the past, but the color projects being adamant and not open to any suggestions, like she's trying to defend her own decisions and her husband's. By the way, Jaxn chose a purple sweater, being purple a color that usually symbolizes wisdom and loyalty. You know that he picked it on purpose. Notice that even if his arm is bigger and longer than hers, he keeps it behind her arm, making a very uncomfortable position for her. It's like he's hiding behind so as not to be exposed to the public.
And today I am joined by my lovely wife, Derrick.
Oh, that's not her finger. That's his own finger.
Did you spot that? When he says "my lovely wife," he caresses his own finger. This is really odd because even if it's normal that when someone feels anxious, they fiddle with their fingers. In this case, he has his wife's hands in his, so it would make sense to do that fiddling or that micro touching on her fingers. But instead, he touches himself.
My lovely wife, Derrick, and we just want to address a couple of things.
Nah, she's not with the bullshit.
As he announces the Naya, she does a close smile with no energy whatsoever.
None.
Looks at him, and as she pulls her eyes away from him, she presses her
This
lips.
is sad, man.
That is a sign of frustration and possible hidden anger. Right after that, she tilts her head in the opposite direction, away from him. She tries to keep a smile, but you don't need to be a body language analyst to read the wariness of her expression.
Yeah. And we just wanted to address a couple of things.
He says that he just wants to address a couple things, but at the same time he says no with his head. So that's a body language contradiction that points that he really did not want to address this.
You know, we understand that some of you may have already heard, maybe not.
In fact, almost right after that, he lowers his gaze. That is a common sign of shame, followed by a very quick smirk when he says that some of the audience could have heard about what's going on. Now, the eyes down in shame and the smirk are two very different facial expressions with vastly different meanings. When you spot these subtle clues, you have a hint that there's an emotional contradiction inside. Sometimes when a cheater is caught, they could express both shame because they were caught, but at the same time pride because they did what they did. Well, what kind of personality is capable of showing pride when they are exposed to the public? That's right. Narcissists. The narcissistic manipulator enjoys both the process of not being caught and, to some extent, being proud when caught. So that's a body language clue that tells us that Derrick Jaxn could be a narcissist.
But, you know, a lot has been said already about what was the cause and all that other stuff. Some of it is true, some of it is completely false. So some of it is true, some of it is completely false.
Right after he says completely false, he presses his lips, which is a clue of frustration or covert anger. He shows that he's angry at false claims about what has happened.
But the truth is, and I'm saying it here now, is that Derrick Jaxn was involved with other women. Derrick Jaxn was involved with other women.
There's a lot to discuss about these clips, but there's one thing that is particularly interesting. Derrick's repeated use of the third person when discussing his own actions. This might seem like a quirk, but it's really common. Some of these fans commented their own experience with cheating partners as they spoke about themselves in the third person, claiming that this is a red flag. Well, think about this. When admitting to an affair, people will sometimes use the third person as a way to detach themselves from the transgression. People who refer to themselves in the third person do so because they don't want to take responsibility for what they are saying. He simply won't admit or say, "Yes, I made a mistake." He's attempting to separate himself from his misbehavior. Instead of owning it by using the word I, he talks like he was a character and he's telling a story. It's common to combine these statements with sentences like, "That isn't who I am," or "I'm a different person now, I've changed."
Outside the marriage, I'm not involved. I want to be clear. I'm not talking about just casually.
Yo, answer the way she looked at her.
Something like that. I'm talking about casually kicking it, maybe a lunch or something like that. I'm talking about
She's like, what? Nah, nigga, anybody give a fuck about that.
Notice that when he's about to say what he actually did with those women, she lowers her gaze slowly. She feels ashamed at that point. She hasn't overcome that episode yet. Let's see if you can spot Jaxn's microexpression in the next clip.
I've already told her literally everything. I've given her basically a roll call list. If I've said hello to a woman in the last 12 years of me knowing her, she knows about it. A roll call list. If I've said hello to a woman in the last 12 years of me knowing her, she knows about it.
Yes, he's remembering because his eyes drifted to his left, his memory side. But at the same time, he had a micro-expression of duping delight. He tries to appear concerned and sad, but just for a fraction of a second, his true feelings show before going back to emotional control.
And now we're finally getting on to the other side.
Nah. She's staying on this side, bro. You going on that side by yourself. She ain't going nowhere with your ass.
Notice that when Jaxn says that they're finally getting on to the other side, he touches his own finger again and she averts her eyes away. They are absolutely not getting through it. He's nervous. He doesn't believe what he is saying, and she notices it and feels ashamed. Now let's listen to 2 clips of Denea and let's see if you can spot a difference.
So I do want to just add that.
Why you pulled her hands like that?
What he just said. There is no justification for bringing other women into our marriage on any level.
Certain aspects of this type of situation, but that does not define who you are. You don't have to stay in bondage to that. You don't have to stay with bitter roots.
Yeah, she sounds far more confident when speaking alone. Her words are better connected, better voice tone, and a totally different attitude.
Yeah.
That tells you that she didn't want to be there when Jaxn was doing his apology. Now, watch her eye movements on this clip.
And when I've been flooded again with messages and these things and about, I need to leave or why haven't I left? And the answer is, when I found out about it, I left. I did not hesitate or waste time to do so. When I found out about it, I left. I did not hesitate or waste time to do so.
Yeah.
Look how interesting is that when she says that she found out about Jaxn's infidelity and she left, her eyes drift to her left side. Remember that the left side is our memory or recalling side, and our right side is the creative one. In this case, she's talking about a memory, and her eyes drift to the corresponding memory side. That's when your words and your body language, in this case your facial expressions, are in sync. So we can assume that what she just said is the truth. Also, she shows a micro-expression of surprise, which is another clue that upon recalling that situation, she was actually taken by surprise. She recalls it and the feeling is still fresh in her memory, so she repeats the corresponding emotion. This is similar when someone recalls a sad moment of their lives and they show a micro-expression of sadness. That tells you that emotion is still fresh or the emotional wound hasn't healed. And they still manifest it when talking about the subject. So that's why it's so important to pay attention when someone says that they are okay and have already overcome the experience, but they show traces that the topic still affects them. If you spot these signals, you know that you should show extra empathy for them. You're not expecting that people will tell you how they actually feel, and you don't need to, because you already read their body language. So you just show them your support.
And for those who are going to continue to support, man, I appreciate you like never before, because I know it's not going to be easy going forward, at least for a little while so many things are still fresh and attached to my name.
And attached to my name? So you only worry about yourself right now, bro?
When he talks about his supporters, how worried he is about going forward, he mentions so many things fresh and still attached to his name.
Yeah.
An apology should never be about what are the consequences for you. You are talking to take full responsibility about something that you did. And still, Here he is absolutely concerned about how his name was tarnished by this. He is really concerned about it because that's when he displays many emotional reaction signals. 2 single shoulder shrugs, rapid blinking, he even closes his eyes for half a second. When you watch an entire clip or are interviewing someone or you are just having a casual conversation, you should make a continuous assessment of all these emotional markers. That way you'll be able to spot in real time the point in the conversation when the person has a stronger emotional reaction. In this case is when he's talking about his reputation and his name. That's when you understand that that is the most important topic for him, because in trying to get his point across, he's nervous and projects low confidence. Remember that the more important a topic is for one person, it's most likely that they will be nervous when they talk about it. And I've got a bonus tip for you. If you know that talking about a certain topic is going to make you feel nervous and you don't want people to find out, the most important thing to prepare beforehand is visualizing yourself. How would you like to talk and feel about that topic? Make sure you visualize yourself with all details. How would you stand or sit? How would you project your voice? How people would look at you and nod with you? And how would you feel at that exact moment? That's the best way to train your brain into priming yourself to talk confidently about a topic that upsets you. Jackson later issued a very weird reaction to his own video where he talked about himself in the third person again. And the part that really caught my attention was this one.
So with that, cool. She wants to stand by her husband. She feels like he's worth it. She has that right. Now, so with that, cool. She wants to stand by her husband. She feels like he's worth it. She has that right. Now, as far as...
You don't even believe in what you're saying. You think she's stupid for doing that
for his wife and saying that, after all, she stands by him, or he in third person, whatever, she stands by him, that he's worth it. Notice how he denies with his head, does a single shoulder shrug.
Yeah.
This is a classic emotional reaction when you're not sure about what you're talking about, and blinks rapidly.
Because he knows he's not worth it.
These are all signs that he's trying to convince us of something he's not sure himself. But look the change of his attitude when he's going to talk about his own performance.
Now, as far as what he said, I understand and I completely applaud him taking accountability.
He's not only applauding himself for taking accountability. When he says that, he projects his chin up, signaling that he's extremely proud of himself. That's an arrogant signal. Yeah, definitely, he's a narcissist. And do you know what does a narcissist love? Talk about themselves and not in third person. So I knew that at some point he was going to blow the whole that guy thing. And of course, he blew it, and he said this.
But I've seen a lot of women put this dude on the pedestal to the point of idealizing him and even comparing their man to him. But I've seen a lot of women put this dude on the pedestal. I've seen a lot of women.
Yeah, he's so excited about the idea of women putting him on a pedestal and even comparing their men to him, that he breaks that third person nonsense and finally talks about himself. Another narcissistic clue. Now, here's the point I wanted to make about Danae's social media posts. In this text, you can find clues about she being suffering cover manipulation. The first one is, before the public at large become a part of my life, I had low confidence and high insecurities. Childhood experiences created a root of bitterness, rejection, with felt spirits of can give love and can receive love. The fact is, women without a sense of self-worth are easy to manipulate. And if she felt like that before becoming a public personality, being in the spotlight only worsens that condition. Because you're going to feel like you're being watched and judged all the time, which is the price that you have to pay. Emotionally unstable people cannot deal with this on their own, and can easily fall prey of master manipulators that could even be their own partners. Now, how does she express of herself and her marriage? Fast forward to being wife. Take notice of the word wife between quotation marks, and if it's not quite a real wife or she doesn't deserve the title, it's still self-deprecating. Being wife of a sensational, electrifying, charming, first-class, creatively master orator and superb genetic specimen of a man, that is putting him on a pedestal. It's exactly like projecting her marriage like she doesn't deserve him. And that's usually what happens when one of the spouses has low self-esteem. They could feel that they don't deserve the amazing partner they have, and this can lead to a very aggressive bouts of anxiety. And that anxiety shows through her obsession with his activities regarding other women. I visited women's pages that he liked, commented back to, and had prior flings with, and obsessed over how they did their hair, how they dressed, how they spoke, the interest they had, and tried to mimic the aspects of them to keep his attention. Did you notice something odd in the verb tenses? I visit women's pages, try to mimic them, obsess. All of them are in the present tense. And the way she writes, she minds the way she uses verbs and past and present tense. So this is a slip of the mind right there in her text that she still feels insecure and keeps doing these things. There are more texts and social media posts where it's sad to see Danae herself uplifting her husband and demeaning herself. Her husband cheated on her for over a decade. He cheated while she was pregnant. He brought other women into their marriage and their marriage bed. And then she goes on a rant pointing out every one of her flaws, studying the videos and pictures of his mistresses, telling herself over and over again that because she doesn't dare to do what they do, she doesn't deserve all the love from her husband. She is not okay. And she's being used, and her body language shows it. That's why he even had to justify that her body expression is just the way her demeanor is.
Now, upon first impression, nothing really stuck out to me about him, but more so about the wife. Like, I heard her say that she stands with her husband, she's proud to love him, but just by her body language, I was really wondering, like, did he force her to do this video? Like, she looks super uncomfortable, like she doesn't want to be there. You know, I kind of caught that this is just a part of her personality, so that kind of explains somewhat of her demeanor. You know, she clearly has a mind of her own if you saw the live chat too.
If Jackson needs to make a video to explain his way out of cheating, why does Danae have to suffer through it? She has to go along this man who dragged her into this video to save his Instagram clout. It's not her mess, it's his. He should have been in that video by himself, but he didn't. You can tell that a spouse is genuinely committed to improving after cheating if they show true remorse and are able to get to the bottom of why they cheated in the first place, so that the underlying issues can be resolved. Affairs are a symptom of bigger marital issues, and unless they're addressed, most probably another affair could happen again. Being willing to acknowledge wrongdoing and explore the reasons behind it can be a reassuring sign. If they are shutting you down or want to just move on without getting into what actually happened, that's foul play. The person who is genuinely committed to improving after cheating will behave in the opposite way to a narcissist. They will be concerned about how you feel, consistently attentive to your sensitivity, and committed to fix things over time. One more thing.
I hope he understands that all the accountability in the world is not going to rebuild broken trust.
Did you spot any other clues in this video? Which other cases would you want to have analyzed? Don't forget to share it in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss any of my body language analysis and tips. See you in episode 27 with Meghan and Harry analysis.
Alright, so to me, that guy did a really good job by reading him like that. Even when he went and touched his own finger, he did that twice. You know, and everybody know just by seeing her, like, just facial reaction, you know, she didn't want to be there. But yeah, there's a lot of things that he pointed out. I didn't even see them. So y'all let me know what y'all think.